Now we come to our second reflection. Today is the third Sunday where we've had texts from Luke chapters 9 and 10. Firstly, Jesus and his entourage were setting off on their road to Jerusalem, and a Samaritan village wouldn't welcome them. And the disciples wanted to bring about fire to come down and destroy them. Then last week we had the 70 being set on their first mission of neighbourliness to offer the peace of God wherever they sought refuge on the way to Jerusalem. Today's parable and the setting for the parable test us because we are responding and drawing conclusions about the lawyer and his interchange with Jesus. Is this lawyer, who would definitely be well versed in Mosaic law of Deuteronomy and Leviticus, is he trying to trap Jesus? Or is he trying to find out if Jesus had something worth paying attention to? Let's go with the second option. So Jesus therefore said to him, "What do you see in the law of Moses? You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul and with all your strength and with all your mind, and your neighbour as yourself." Love God and your neighbour. Well done. But then our lawyer pushes the next question. Who is my neighbour? What laws must I obey? The word translated as neighbour is plesion, plesion, which literally means one who is near. Our lawyer would know from Deuteronomy and Leviticus that a neighbour was a member of the tribe of Israel or a resident alien. That is, he'd know it meant a refugee. So how far are we supposed to go with this neighbour business? So Jesus begins the parable. The priest and the Levi are on the road back to Jericho, a long winding road gradually dropping from 2,500 feet in Jerusalem to 800 feet above sea level in Jericho. They saw, but they didn't see the injured traveller, and they used their religious obligations so as not to help. They didn't want to get near because they were afraid. They were afraid of the cost of compassion. It wasn't being unclean that was preventing them. They had been to the temple. Rather, it was the cost of compassion. The cost of compassion is the cost of being a neighbour. That's it, Jesus responds. We're on the same page. You know how to live. Go and do it. Oh, the lawyer feels exposed. He wishes to be right with God, but he's deeply troubled by the enormity of what God is asking. I already know who my neighbour is. It's living as a neighbour that I can't manage. Is he saying under his breath, can anyone do that? That's the same question we want to put to Jesus ourselves. Can anyone do that? What the story tells us is that what the lawyer fears is in fact true. There is no limit on mercy. We are being called to come near to our neighbour, our every neighbour who is a child of God. The Samaritan came near enough to have his very gut wrenched horribly with pity. He went and made himself vulnerable to brigands or robbers. Those who were listening to the parable would have been horrified that the Samaritan stopped to help a Jewish man. Jesus is saying to the lawyer, you should love your neighbour without reserve. To be compassionate when we're afraid is heart-wrenchingly difficult. We want to draw back. But if we allow our heart to be drawn near to a neighbour, to any neighbour, we may go on our way with composure, even joy. It seems that the Samaritan is feeling tremendously privileged at being drawn into the adventure. He lavishes the injured man with his oil and his wine. He offers the innkeeper plenty of money for the patient's care, and he sets off again. And as he sets off again, it seems to me he's waving gladly and saying, I'll be back soon to take care of the rest of the bill. Amen.